We can talk about The Flash today. Where have I been? That's a good question. Making anime music videos about Captain America, apparently. Anyway, we're talking about The Flash today. No intro, you noticed. Ha! YouTube, people have small attention spans, so on YouTube you gotta get right to the point, which I'm not doing. So anyway, The Flash, he's a terrible superhero. What? Excuse me? Did you just talk shit about my best baby boy Barry Allen / Wally West / literally any other speedster? Because this doesn't just apply to The Flash, it applies to every... Anyway, the point is, disclaimer. That's not the point, but before I get to the point, I want to mention a quick disclaimer because I know people are going to yell at me. The disclaimer that I mentioned, I want to say, suspension of disbelief, yes, I get it, before you go into the comments and you're like, hey, dipshit, suspension of disbelief, comic books are the best thing. Look, I understand that suspension of disbelief is a thing that we need to take into account, especially with a character who's the fastest man alive. I get that. And the reason I say that is because you've probably seen by the title, maybe not, or the thumbnail, maybe not. I don't know what I'm going to title and thumbnail this. The Flash doesn't work. He doesn't work as a superhero. He just doesn't. In any situation you put him in, he's the fastest man alive, and I'm going to get to counterpoints in a second. But if he's the fastest man alive, if he can throw a pancake up into the air and then run like 2 miles at least to a coffee store, get a bunch of coffee, and then come back and catch that same pancake, then how's he not just gonna search the entirety of Central City, or wherever he is, for the villain that he needs to catch, and then catch that villain before they even sniff his little red butt? How's that really that, Riddler? They fought once. I didn't read it. Anyway, but yeah, the disclaimer kind of makes sense now. Yes, I obviously understand that if the Flash were fast enough to where he just defeated every villain ever, he locked them up in chains, or punched them in their small-sized penises before they could do anything, that'd be a boring story, right? That's why the Flash has limitations, and that's why he just has to run faster every time. That's why that's a thing. But you can cleverly write around that and not make a speedster his villain every season of your TV show. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I just think it's fascinating that we have a character like this called the Flash, and he's the fastest boy alive, but then there are like these tense scenes where he's running just so fast, and it's like it's slow motion, because if it wasn't in slow motion we wouldn't actually feel the tenseness of the scene. He'd just be like, whoop, oh no, it didn't work. But take this for example. This is a weird thing that I just thought of it's old. DC Universe Online, I think the first CG trailer for that has like all the villains, kind of, not all the villains, but like the big villains of the Justice League in some city. I don't remember what city, but the point is, the Joker is in like the middle by a statue or something, and he's got the red button to a bomb or something, and the Flash is running at him, and I think Superman's flying at him as well or something, but we don't care about him. The Flash is running at him, and it's all slow-mo, it's all tense, and you see the Joker, he's like, I'm gonna push it, and then the Flash is running, and he's like, no you're not. And then the Joker pushes the button and blows up everything. But the fucking he's the Flash. Why could he not just punch Joker into oblivion before he pushed that button, before he even thought of pushing that button? And the main argument that I have heard, and I have even told myself, is, well, besides, like, that would just make boring stories if he could just beat everyone all the time. Besides that, there's the argument of, well, maybe he needs a little bit of time to, like, rev up into the Flash. Like, you know how you don't just go from, if you're running, you don't just start at your top speed. You run a little bit and go, or more accurately in like a car, if you push pedal to the metal on the car, you're not going to instantly be at 100 miles an hour. you're gonna start at 0 and ramp up to that. I don't know if that's always how the Flash works. I don't think it is. I know in some interpretations, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he has been shown to do that, where he's not immediately going like his top speed at all times. He has to like gather speed force and just zoom lightning bolt dick. But you know, it's a thing that you have to take into consideration as a writer, where when you're working with the fastest man alive, whoever's under the cowl, it doesn't matter. Well, it does technically, because like Jay Garrick is slower, and so who cares? Jay Garrick could be the fastest if the writer was like, oh, Jay Garrick's the fastest now, let's work with that for a story arc. It's unimportant. The point is, he's a super fast man, and when you're working with a character who is that fast, you have to take into consideration, you have to write in limitations for that. And some of those limitations are as lazy as, well, the villain's faster than him. But that's like the laziest thing you could possibly do. Let's see. Reverse Flash. He's faster. Savitar? Ooh, he's just so fast. Every speedster is faster, which is just not good. And then you get shit like the Turtle, who so a lot of TV examples are coming up in my head right now because I just recently rewatched The Flash, but the Turtle is just so stupid. I don't understand. Anyway, we're not gonna get into specifics with the Turtle because I don't think the Turtle deserves my time. I don't think the Turtle deserves anyone's time. But you know what? That's fine. That's fine. The Turtle can go be the Turtle in his own little world. So there's another thing that is kind of a problem with the Flash as a character, and that's the Speed Force. And first of all, I like the idea of the Speed Force most of the time when they don't push it too much. Sometimes writers get real fucking crazy with it, and they're like, oh shit, Barry just did he's never run this fast before. What's he doing? How's he doing this? And they're just like, Speed Force. And you're like, come on, guys, just explain some shit for once in a while. Come up with something. I know it's all science fiction, or just more like fantasy fiction, some might argue, but it doesn't, like, sometimes it works. What I'm trying to say here is the Speed Force works sometimes when that's not the point, when the point of your story is not to explain everything, like you don't want to get super sciencey with it, and you're just like, oh, Barry Allen can run this fast because he's the Speed Force. He created the Speed Force and then struck himself with lightning, creating a Flash paradox. Not Flashpoint, but, you know, just Barry Allen making himself the Flash and then created. Comic books are weird. But the point of the Speed Force is that it's just the explanation of his powers, and comic books have tried to go into what exactly the Speed Force is. Like, as recent as the New 52, they made it like I don't know if it's always been a physical place, but at least in the New 52 it is. It's like this physical dimension where, and it's also like part of the multiverse map as well. But it's this physical place that people get trapped in, and things get trapped in, and Barry was trapped in it for a little bit, and he had some misadventures in the Speed Force, and it's all like weird time and space and junk happening, and it's this big mess of a plot device that a lot of times people just don't really know what to do with, and that's when you get to the problem of that writers relying on just giving Barry Allen or just the Flash, any Flash, new powers or new abilities, or being able to just run super fast, and then they're just like, oh, Speed Force, he ate a hearty meal this morning, and then he was able to run faster because, you know what? Ooh, those chocolate chip pancakes were real tasty, and that allowed him to run as fast as Molasses, but the opposite. Molasses is slow, the Flash is fast. The Flash... I was trying to make a Molasses Flash pun, but I don't think there's anything there, so I'm real sorry about that one. So yeah, Speed Force. I don't even think I got to my point. I hate this show just as much as you do. Trust me. So anyway, the Flash writers are like, hey, the Flash goes this fast. He's just got to go faster to solve every little problem. And the reason he could do that is because of Speed Force. And that creates, again, kind of a lazy, like, problem where you put your character into these tense situations and you're like, oh no, he could die here. But then you obviously know that he's not going to. Not even pointing out, like, of course he's not, because we know that there's another issue, or another episode, or another movie, or another whatever. Putting all that aside, you just know because of previous stories that he's going to just run faster, or tap into more Speed Force, or do a Jedi mind trick or something, and the Flash is gonna win at the end of the day, and everybody's gonna save everybody. And this is not just specifically a problem with the Flash. This is also a huge issue that I take with Superman, because Superman is the strongest guy ever. He's just so super strong. But weirdly, Superman, I feel like, has more weaknesses than the Flash. The Flash's weaknesses come from plot devices and villains being better than him. Superman's weaknesses come from Kryptonians being weak to magic and kryptonite. So, I don't think I've ever said this, but I feel like Superman is a better character than the Flash sometimes. I'm having existential crises on infinite Earths here. Is that a ham-fisted reference enough? Do people love me now? I guess the problem that I take with the Flash, mostly, is that he feels like sometimes a lazy character to write, because you're just like, he's Go Fast Man. And when you have Go Fast Man with no inherent weaknesses, and I'm sure he does have some inherent weaknesses, I'm just not aware of them, but honestly, I'd be willing to bet that he doesn't. That he's always just had, like, if he's Barry Allen, maybe he has, like, personal tie-downs, always having some girl trouble, or he's having trouble with the boss at the police office, or maybe his dad died again, or maybe his sidekick is yelling at him for some reason. But there's no, like, inherent, like, Barry Allen has weaknesses. In the case of Barry Allen, it seems like Barry Allen has weaknesses, but the Flash doesn't. The only weakness, it's like when you go into a job interview and they're like, what are your biggest weaknesses? And you're like, my biggest weakness is that I'm too hard of a worker. My biggest weakness is that I'm too fast. That's not, you're just an asshole at that point. It just seems, I don't really have a solution here. Don't ever come to this video series looking for a solution to the problems I pose. This is something that I know is a problem with this show, and I know people don't like about this show, is pretty much everything I end on is the yes and no, even though this isn't a yes or no question that I'm posing. It's not even really a question, it's just an idea that I'm putting forward. But I always kind of end on these lukewarm statements of, what do you think? And that's more or less what I'm aiming for. This is a forum. It's a soapbox that I get on and yell at you people about, and you watch it for some reason. Let me see if I can land on a thesis of some kind. Probably not, but let's try. I think, at the end of the day, the Flash is an interesting character in his own right. The Flash mythos is one of my favorite things in DC Comics. I love the way it works. I love all the characters. There's a lot of fun that goes in there. Just the mere thought of, like, the lightning, the Speed Force trails of lightning being different colors and what that means, that's super cool to me. Just stuff like that is just little things about the Flash mythos is fascinating to me. But the actual character and the stories that the Flash has put in are strange, and I feel like they need to maybe not weaken him, but at least define the rules of the Flash a little bit more. Because people like me who say Superman is boring because he's just so powerful and you can't do anything with a character who is the most powerful person on Earth. But then at the same time, Superman does actually have weaknesses. You get some kryptonite, boom, out of there. You fight him with some magic, which there are a lot of characters who use magic, boom, out of there. Which, I feel like that's something that's not brought up a lot. I feel like they should have Superman fight a magic character in a live-action movie, so that's popularized, so people are like, whoa, Superman's not actually the strongest boy on planet Earth, because I didn't know he was weak to magic when I first got into comics. I thought Superman was weak to kryptonite, and that's it. And kryptonite is so rare that it's really not a non-issue, but magic's fucking everywhere. So, I don't know. Why isn't that brought up enough? But anyway, Superman is beside the point. The Flash he's just so wrapped up in being just fast and his villains always being faster or having some way to slow him down that they never define actual weaknesses of the Flash character. And I think that's a problem. I think that's something that should be fixed. So, I don't know if that's going to take a reboot or a depower or something. Last comic I read, his problem was that he has too much power again. He's the negative Flash or whatever, and he's too powerful, so we gotta stop him somehow. Or he knows he's too powerful because he's got like negative Speed Force and Speed Force. I don't know if that story's been resolved yet. Maybe it has. I'm behind on comic books. I'm a fake poser. But anyway, I think I landed on something there. At the end of the day, let's say, I'm pretty sure I've said at the end of the day like 6 times. The Flash is a good character. But he needs to be his weaknesses need to be more defined. How about that? The Flash's weaknesses need to be more defined. There you go, folks. This is the point in the video essay where there's like a rim hit and then and then the end card comes down. I'm like, hey everybody, thanks for watching. I do actually have a Patreon if you want to go support that. There's probably a link somewhere. More AURAM'S Forum soon. Maybe more of that weird shit that I made, the Captain America thing. Maybe more of that. I don't know. People have given me ideas on Twitter, but none of them are like, they don't fit to the thing that I was trying to make. They were just like, hey, here's a story, do it on this story. And it's like, that's not really the point. The point is like real world stuff plus the story as just kind of like a base, because I think that's far more interesting. But anyway, yeah, also new things. I'm working on stuff. Don't you worry. I'm working on stuff. It might not be appearing on my channel, but I'm working on stuff. Also, youtube.com/comicdrake and I started a new podcast. I'm plugging way too many things, but I don't care. Woo! Oh god. It's on his channel, youtube.com/comicdrake. It's us two and a third person that is it's like a rotating guest type thing. It's filmed in my living room. Yeah. So anyway, bye.